and welcome to Enlightened Couch Potato Show. I am Adrianne Gunn, and I'm here with my friend
Nicholas Rave, and we are here to explore how to watch movies and TV for maximum psychological and spiritual development. Our philosophy is that movies can be a meditation and TV can be transcendent.
We like to suggest that you TV deeply, and we show up not necessarily weekly-ish. Yeah, weekish. Weekishly is just like
weekishly. No, that's right. We're here, but we're weekish.
Every week or so, we show up to talk about the stuff we've been watching and how it's affected us, our lives. Yeah. You know, I'm trying to recall if I've had like a deeply moving moment. I remember I was listening to something. Was it a commercial? Something had me just sobbing my face off. It was early in the morning. I was getting out of bed. I was watching some video. It may come back to me because what I remember is this. Oh, I'm just crying a lot. I should remember this for the show. That's as much as I remember. You're welcome.
Damn. I was just thinking the other day, maybe this is yesterday, I don't know. I was thinking, like, why isn't it that there aren't more people who take pride in how easily they can cry? Like, I think that's a thing that I see more, maybe, especially in the dude realm. But I definitely, like, for me, I strive to be more receptive and more open to being moved emotionally by things. Right. Like you said, commercials, like that happens to me on a semi-regular basis. Good ones. I mean, there's shit ones that don't touch me or whatever, but there's some that like, and TV and movies and video games. Yeah.
I remembered it.
Oh, what was it?
So I wake up and scroll Facebook, which is what I do many mornings. And a friend had posted this clip from American Idol. There was this young woman, I don't recall the city, who missed all the announcements to sign up officially for the auditions. And if you've never auditioned for American Idol, there are a bunch of different phases before you get to those scenes you see.
Yeah.
They like narrow down from a giant stadium full of people. And I think this one had to be different, but she wasn't in any of those levels. She just found out where the heck people were lining up, and she was sitting outside. And I guess, who's the host again? The skinny white guy. Who's the host? Not the host, the like MC guy. Ooh. Seacrest, Ryan Seacrest.
Okay.
Found her, brought her in, like skipped the whole process, brought her in, then she sang some Rise Up song, and they were super excited for her. And she's like, it's my dream. But the thing that got me was they're showing the clip of her calling her dad on speakerphone to tell them that she's got the golden ticket to get to Hollywood for the show. I'm just sobbing because, you know, dreams and like believing in yourself and doing the crazy thing of just like sitting on the curb outside of the audition just in case. Who hasn't been there? We've all been there, right? Yeah.
Feels are good for you.
Yeah.
You know, like I feel like it's like feeling things emotionally is like emotional yoga. It's like if you don't, there's a fitness guy named Ido Portal who talks about use it or lose it. That he's like, he says move, because if you don't, someday you won't be able to. And I feel like that applies not just to physical movement, but emotions too. If you don't access those emotions in healthy, safe ways, I think you start to lose access to them. And you want to like be flexible physically and emotionally. That's one of the benefits, I think, of TVing deeply.
Right. Well, it used to be the case that the only time that I would cry was during sports or that sort of thing. And in the last, I don't know, six years, I've been cracking that stuff open, and it's really interesting the difference of being moved in moments, just like the access to feeling, like breaking open and breaking apart and shaking off that exterior shell that was perfectly and beautifully crafted by me and my nervous system before I had language. Thank you so fucking much, body, unconscious, and all the different parts that like assembled and became so that I could be safe with my ridiculous childhood. And now to break that stuff open so that I can feel the most subtle kinds of connection with people. Fucking thrilled to be shedding that those walls and those barriers. Now that I'm a grown ass woman who can like be pretty resilient and take care of myself, you know, like I don't have to be as protected because I'm the boss of a lot of stuff. Not that.
So what else you been watching?
Okay. So I'm just going to do the list, and then we can check in on what we want to talk about.
Okay.
I finally got around to watching Ozark again. And The Politician season 2 came out recently. And so I watched that. It was like I sneezed and I was done with it. It was too short. And then last night, I watched the movie Her. Finally.
Oh, yeah. Let's talk about that. Like, okay. I don't want to talk about Ozark. I mean, we can talk about it in big picture because I love that show, but I haven't seen the 3rd season.
Well, I'm good at not doing spoilers.
Well, I will say that show is awesome and it's exhausting. It's so just, there's something else. Yeah. And I don't know where the 3rd season's going to go. I've loved it up to that point.
Yeah.
I'd love to talk about Her.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about Ozark for a second. So we're like top view.
Okay.
Here's what I love about watching shows like Ozark. Well, and this is the frame of like, I love watching this show, and this is also why I didn't watch Breaking Bad. There's a balance for me of how much like dark, gritty crime stuff I will watch and still be able to be an okay person. Because I got through season 3 of Ozark in like 4 to 6 days, 5-ish days.
Did you start thinking about different ways you can break the law? Oh my
God. I just all day long, I was just like, I just wanted to fucking get stuff over people. And I just like felt like it's like that in Weeds. They're dark enough that they're real-ish, but they're kind of light and funny. And so, yeah, I just was just like, what did I write down? I was like, wanting to cheat and steal stuff and feel like I can get away with things. How many times can I get away with like having almonds, even though it's not in my plan to have 2 servings of like almonds? I'm just like, and like, of course, that person, we should just kill that person because that's sensible. That's just good for business. You know, just like listening to the train of mind as I'm watching it and sitting there like, fuck that person up. Just shoot them in the face. And laughing my ass off at horrifying things.
Yeah. Speaking of flexibility.
Right. I love it so much to tap into the inner. Is it inner? How inner is that darkness? Like,
you're saying it's like pretty surface?
It was a rough growing up sort of thing. I was bullied and also a bully, and you know, like that we would steal shit and set fires, not big ones. We would put them out, usually trespass places we weren't supposed to be, get shot at.
You were a little hoodlum.
Like hoodlum adjacent. I guess there are people who never stole things or set fire or punched anybody or were punched or none of their friends went to jail at some point.
I've been punched.
Yeah. So there's like an inner troublemaker that just gets lit up.
I stole a block from preschool and I felt horrible about it for years. Like it was a little red like shape. And I didn't even think, I don't even know if I knew what I was doing. I just like had it in my pocket when I went home. And I'm sure no one even cared or noticed. Right. But I was like, oh my God, I'm going to hell. There's something about shows like Ozark and other things like that where there is an allowing yourself to indulge in these kinds of archetypes and energies and let him off the leash in a good way. Did you see the one, the Tom Cruise true story, American something or other? He was like a pilot. It's based on a true story about a guy who smuggled cocaine. I
don't know if I did.
Oh, it's so good. But it's definitely that, like, there's one part in the movie where a big plot point is they have so much cash, they can't find a place to hide it. Like, it's so much money that they're like, we have to just dig a hole and bury it in suitcases. It's like, we don't. Like, oh my God. And how, like, much of that story is real, like, that really happened. And, like, wow, it's nuts. Yeah. It was cool.
Yeah, there was that caper with Ben Affleck where he gets a bunch of his old ward buddies to go into somewhere South or Central America and try to, like, smuggle out some drug cartel money. Have you seen this movie?
I don't know which one.
I don't recall what it's called, but, like, that whole trying to do the seedier things, you know.
Okay, so we talked about Ozark. I really would talk about her. That movie. Okay. So it's Spike Jonze, right?
It is Spike Jonze. I looked it up.
Spike Jonze, like, Joaquin Phoenix, Scarlett Johansen,
Amy, and what's her fucker? Which is actually not a her. What's his face? Star-Lord. What's Star-Lord's name?
Chris Pratt.
Thank you.
Yeah, he had like a minor role in it. I remember that. That movie was so cool and deep and interesting. And like it's a cool, like, little, like, glimpse of the future. Like, we're trying to, like, what's the future going to be like? Do you remember Gattaca? Have you ever seen that movie? Ethan Hawke.
Yeah. Uma Thurman, Ethan Hawke.
Yep.
Can't recall if I actually watched it or not because I confuse it with something else.
Gattaca's great. I love it. And the only reference that I was making is that it has this interesting vision of the future and it's very well thought out. And I appreciated that about her, where it was just even down to things like fashion, like the fucking mustaches and stuff. And they're like, well, all right, guess, like, turn the hipster thing up by several decades and see. Yeah.
Men are wearing mustaches and high-waist pants. Totally.
Yeah.
And they're super, like, scratchy wool. Everybody's in really scratchy clothing.
It was cool because it's not just a fashion choice or a stylistic choice for the movie. Right. It's, like, motivated by the story. And the little earpiece thing, like, I'm waiting for those because, like, those are cooler than the AirPods.
Yes. So
yeah, but then this whole concept. Go ahead.
I avoided watching her because of Joaquin Phoenix and Scarlett Johansen. So I have tended to dislike Scarlett Johansen. People, like, you know how, I don't know. So I have this challenge with, on one hand, I have a challenge with people who just, like, massively love stuff, just obsessively. So Angelina Jolie was the first, like, everybody's obsessed with this actress. And I'm like, I guess she's all right. I like her in some stuff, in some moments. So Scarlett Johansson was this next, like, everybody's obsessed with her. I'm like, can she act? And for instance, a lot of the Captain America movies are awful, I think, except for Civil War, which is practically an Avengers movie. But in the second, what is it, Winter Soldier, she has all of these lines, and they're trying to make chemistry between she and Captain and the whatever, and it's awful. And then
you are in the minority on Winter Soldier, by the way. Many people think that's the best Marvel movie ever made. So,
what?
Yeah, that's one of the more popular ones.
How?
Well, it's mostly because it's a spy movie that happens to it's a good spy movie that happens to have superheroes in it. And that's really interesting. And
they didn't mind all those super long, just gross conversation scenes between Scarlett Johansson and Chris.
I don't think most people have the opinion that you have of Scarlett Johansson. I will grant you that I I mean, I think she's good. She's fine. I don't think the Black Widow character is the most fleshed out character. Like,
No.
it's not a real. Although I want to see the new Black Widow movie. I want to see if they
Yeah.
can actually give her something interesting to do. Because
I
I feel
know.
like I didn't really care when she died. I was kind of like, whatever.
I like her best when she's just kicking people's asses and
Yeah.
not and like one-liners, which is
But-
awful because that's like the opposite of the Bechdel test. And like, I like it,
Yeah.
but those like, she tends to not be.
But have you avoided a lot of the other movies that she's been in because you don't like her? Because like she's in a movie called Vicky Cristina Barcelona that I think is incredible.
Is that the one with Jack Black?
No.
Okay.
She's
Those-
in I mean, Lost in Translation is good.
Mhm.
There's a movie called Under the Skin, which is a really weird sci-fi movie that I enjoyed. She doesn't have a lot to do in that one, but I liked the movie. I don't know. Anyway, I think there's some things she's done that have been cool.
I've loved her in movies where she wasn't the lead. I've liked her in movies where she wasn't the lead. I think in many of the things that she's been the lead. Anyway, so I avoided it for that reason. And then I avoided it because Joaquin Phoenix does not have shoulders. And I know I'm just like revealing my own weird issues that no one agrees with.
Hey, you know what?
It's driven.
I don't do this with like movies and stuff, but you know where I do it is in the personal development world. I have these like super petty judgments. And then to be perfectly honest, for me, when I look under the surface, I end up discovering that it's like jealousy and stuff like that I have. I'm not saying that's true for you, but I'm like Brendan Burchard, for instance. I fucking hated that guy for the longest time. Couldn't watch anything that he did. And then finally somebody recommended for like the 5th time one of his programs. And I started listening to it and I was just hating it. And then like, I think 2 hours in, I finally started to go, all right, I think it's me. I think this guy actually is cool and knows what he's talking about and cares about helping people.
He sounds so
but like I have petty
happy.
shit like that for
Yeah.
sure. So.
Yeah, no, it's just been really hard for me to see Joaquin Phoenix in stuff because just his shoulders end at his neck, and that's not really, they don't actually, but there's been some things where I'm like, what? And I just cannot focus because I'm just mesmerized by the fact that he's just got teeny shoulders. And then it just annoys me because I'm like, no one is talking about this. Why isn't anyone? How am I the only one? He just gets to be in Hollywood and not have shoulders. Who's the? Which part of my brain
He's a
does
good
this?
actor.
Oh, last night I was like, okay, Nicholas and I, we've like mentioned this movie in conversation before. It's in my thing. I have some time. I'm gonna watch it. So we've been trying to talk about what our technique is, right, for actually watching and getting the most out of this. And so I was pointing my remote at my TV, and I was like, I am going to get amazing things out of watching this show, despite my general dislike of Scarlett Johansen and Joaquin's shoulders. I am saying yes to this experience. I'm like doing this like pep talk in my head. And so it is. Click. That's how I let in, because I knew that we were going to have our show today. And it's a beautiful freaking movie is what it is. And they were both gorgeous in it. And they also gave him sweaters that accentuated his shoulders, so I didn't have to F my issue so much.
Yeah, for me, metaphorically, that movie is, I mean, any movie for me that I hear where there's like a voice that you're talking to, to me, I'm like, okay, this is your unconscious. So
we have to drop the premise. We just been talking around it.
I guess we're assuming anybody who's talking or listening already knows.
So the premise is that it's the future, and this gentleman is a writer who works at some sort of futuristic company that like crafts letters, like handwritten letters for people. So he writes handwritten letters for people, and he buys this operating system for his new computer that is an AI. It's a new AI operating system, and it learns you and adapts to who you are. So
And it
you can
has a
become
sexy voice.
more connected. And, you know, they're a learning computer, so they figure out who you are, and it's a better experience than just regular computer. Is that it? Is that the concept?
But then it gets to know you, and you start to become friends with it because it's like a full-on personality. And then I don't know, spoilers. Do we want to spoil? Because I think
going in.
Yeah.
I knew that.
For me, like the point of the story is like these AI start to evolve, and then they leave us behind. Like they're just like, yeah, we still care about you, but we are processing at millions and millions of times faster than your brains can go. So we have to evolve, and peace out, folks.
Okay, that was massive spoiler. I just thought you were going to say that they have a relationship.
Oh, no.
You leaped over all of the middle bits.
Yeah. I was jumping for the end.
All right. Yeah. Good God. Well, here's what I love. Here's what I love. And it's sort of around the concept of watching television in a way where, or watching these stories in a way where they can move you and become a part of your own internal life, is this idea. And you can go, because you're great at teaching how this works. We only like the world that we think exists. I love the first class in philosophy 101, where they're like, we're going to prove that the universe doesn't exist. We're going to like destroy the universe, because you only perceive the world through your own senses and perception. And what's interesting in this movie is this idea of the trance that everybody's in, because they're having their own internal experience of what love and relationships and connection with another person is, all through our own filters. And like, does this other person exist? Are the feelings that I'm feeling for this thing it's a computer, is that real? Are these emotions real? Am I real? What is real? What equals a real experience when it's all filtered through our own senses and thoughts and imagination? Right?
It's a really profound thing to think about in terms of the relationships we have in our life. That if you were you are relating, when you relate to another person, even you and I right now, you're relating to a version of that person that exists inside your head way more than you're actually relating to that person. And that's true for both people. It's like there's these two people, and then there's these two people, and you're relating to this person and this person, and like you're just standing in front of each other talking to something in your own head largely. And this movie really leans into that and brings that to the forefront. Did you see Ex Machina?
I don't think so. I've seen the cover in my head, but I don't think I've watched the movie.
Amazing. It's a damn near perfect movie. This is a much lighter, kind of similar-ish story. But this idea, like, a lot of people are very fascinated with AI right now, because we are on the brink of it. Like, it is coming soon, like within the next decades. This thing is going to happen, and it's going to change everything.
Well, even just thinking of the several layers of perceptual disassociation, I guess I'm calling it for this moment. The idea that, okay, so right now we're in a space where we need to, all of us, be connecting virtually. And that's going to mean different things for different people of how we engage and connect with people. We lose a lot of the like smells and the temperature changes and micro things that we can see. Like, I can't tell unless I concentrate really hard where you're breathing from in your body right now.
Right.
The stuff that we utilize in our bodies to know whether we're safe or not, or whether we're being felt or understood, all of that is shifting now that we're doing video stuff and not being in the same spaces. I remember my first cell phone texting relationship, I would say, was like 98, 99-ish. No, I'm lying. I mean, it's 2009-ish was the first time that I was like texting somebody that I was romantically interested in. And I remembered the difference of like, no one's at the same time in their day. And so that's like disjointed. And I remember this moment of like rolling over into bed and like longingly looking at my fucking phone. And I was like, that just happened. What the fuck is that? Like, it's different because back in the day, I would be on an analog phone talking to somebody, and analog phones had the quality where you could like hear people breathe. So you can like lay on a floor and like hear the changes in breathing of someone else somewhere else, and my body would respond to such a thing. But that breathing is below a noise floor that's allowed in cell phone world. In digital spectrum, they don't like, oh, if you're breathing, we don't need to hear that. So you can't hear tonality shifts, you can't hear breathing changes, this kind of stuff. And then people are like texting. They might be still cleaning their kitchen before they wrap up and go to bed.
Right.
And I'm in
know
like
their emotional mental space. That's actually one of the things that I thought of about this movie, about her, is that it reminded me of the hours and hours and hours I would spend on the phone, the cordless phone in my room, not cell phone, the cordless phone. And you'd always be listening for someone else to pick up the line. And then you're like, wait, stop, hold on. Mom, I'm on the phone. No, I'm still talking. I know I'll wrap it up.
Yeah. And I don't know if I don't think people talk on the phone like that now anymore.
I don't think so. I mean, this, I guess, is a thing.
Yeah.
More.
But yeah, this space of just like a good chunk of the emotional connection that's happening is happening in text, and we're not at it at the same time. It's just like weird and creepy and frustrating and kind of annoying. I hated it. I hated how much of the like sweet nothings didn't happen in like a 5-minute phone call and then good night. It was like, oh, this 5-minute phone call turned into anything from 20 minutes to 2 hours to go back and forth, like in different schedules, because nobody wants to just like do what people do. I don't know. So weird. And recognizing that most of the connection that I was having with this other person was in my head, like using the version of their voice that I stored in my head as I read their text and what I thought that they were feeling. And then recognizing that like a large percentage of this connection was just imagined by me alone in a room. Not fond of that. I am not fond of that for relationships, especially because of the ways that we like projections that we do and misreading things and the level of miscommunication. Or I found myself in my last relationship actually spending more time with the version of the person in my head than the person in real life.
Yeah. And
it was really hard to reconcile the differences between the two. And there's a scene like that in this movie. Anyway, I'm just like, and if we shift to AI, sometimes the versions of people in our heads are better than the ones in real life.
That's one of the things that I think about this movie is that, first of all, it feels very possible.
Oh, yeah.
Like exceedingly realistic and possible. Like, okay, like it might not even be like close to this. It might be pretty exactly this at some point. But there's something I like about this in terms of the emotional content of it. Like, I have thought for a long time that when really, really effective sex robots become a thing, we might lose a couple generations of humans. Like, there might just be people who are like, peace out, bitches. This is way better. I'm just done. I'm done. Like, think of how many people we lose to like multiplayer games online, like where they're just like, I'm done with my life. You start tapping into that deep animal urge and instinct.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. Right. But what if you create artificial intelligence that is so good at connecting with you on an emotional level?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it makes me think about things too, like, can you create an artificially intelligent hypnotist or an NLP? I have heard, by the way, that Tony Robbins has apparently created an artificial intelligent version of himself, which will answer questions that you ask. That sounds like a gimmick to me because I know enough about AI to know that it's not there yet. But that's a thing that could absolutely happen at some point. I do wonder if there is a thing, because I feel it in myself, and I think this is true for a lot of people too. There's a thing that says, yeah, but it's not real. There's this part of me that's like, I don't want to get uploaded into the Matrix, even if the Matrix is perfect, because there's a part of my brain that's like, yeah, but it's not real, which also is why if I could discover that this is all a simulation, I would want to get out, because I want to go, yeah, but what's above that? What's behind that? What's underneath that? I want to know what, I don't know why, because like subjectively, who cares? But there's a deep sense of like, I need to wake up out of that.
Yes.
And I think a lot of people won't feel that way. And a lot of people will just be like, this is like, if my life sucks or I have no sense of purpose or whatever, checking out of it. I mean, I can't even fault you for it. Like, that makes sense in a very rational kind of way.
Okay, so there's absolutely a part of our brain and our self that cares cares between the distinction of real and not real.
Yeah,
we know that because we're hypnotherapists and we don't utilize that, right?
Yeah.
But isn't it possible we can just decide what's real?
Yeah, I mean, as a hypnotist, of course I believe that. Like, I've thought a lot about the overlap of hypnosis and VR, right? So this is a bit of a tangent, but I think you'll find it interesting. So they did this experiment where they brought people into a room and you'd look at the room so you have a sense of what it looks like. And then they put a VR headset on you and they've modeled the room that you're in VR. So now you put it on and you're looking around and you're still in the room.
Yeah.
But now they can fuck with it. So they'll do things like they'll make you stand at the edge of the room and the floor will drop out. And then there'll be like a plank over a bottomless pit.
Right.
And you have to walk across that plank. But you know that it's not real. So here's what happens. There's a percentage of people who don't fucking care, who are like, I know it's not real. I don't care. It's fine. There's a percentage of people who know it's not real, but they can still feel like, ooh, like it feels weird because like, I know it's not real, but I can tell. And then there's some people that are like, no, absolutely not. I'm not going across. I'm not going across it. So to me, the difference between those people is whether or not you are allowing yourself to be hypnotized to believe the reality or not.
Right.
And a lot of people would take pride in their ability to see one thing and then know that it's not real. What I'm seeing is not real. But hypnosis is just the inverse of that. It's looking at something and seeing something that isn't there and believing that it's real, instead of looking at something and seeing it, but knowing that it's not real. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so.
They did this other experiment where they found they let people, how did they do this one? One of them was you were like in a helicopter and you're in a VR setting and you have the option to like save people and like pull them onto the helicopter, or you're also like a superhero and you're flying through and you can save people.
Right.
And they found, number one, that when people were the superhero, they were way more inclined to help people because the circumstances is like, I'm not in danger, so I want to help these other people. But then they also found that after people did the superhero thing, they tested them without them knowing afterwards to see if they would be more inclined to help strangers.
Right.
And they found that the simulated experience of pretending to be a superhero and saving strangers in a virtual environment changed the way you behave in your real life.
That makes sense.
that's really interesting to me. And whenever I hear about this stuff, I'm like, yeah, hypnotists have been doing VR for hundreds of years. Like, we know what virtual reality is. You're living in it right now. Your reality is virtual. It's being made up by your mind.
Yes. Yeah. Here's what I loved. I loved a lot of things about this movie. There was something very... So we've been talking every here and there for the last few weeks about these dystopian futures that people create. There's something very kind and earnest about this world.
I liked it.
That the writer created and the director created. People are actually quite lovely in this this future version in Her, this movie, Her. And then the premise to me, and this goes back to earlier when we were talking about like how I had a harder shell when I was younger and have been opening that up, that the idea of this expanded experience for him, for the main character, of falling in love in such a very vast and open way, I get the sense at the end that he is now more capable of love, which is not necessarily the usual telling of, oh, you had an amazing love and it's gone now.
Yeah.
Usually the story is you had an amazing love and now you're just ruined because everything else is going to be disappointing.
Yeah.
And in this case, I just get the sense that this whole adventure has now created a more expansive version of himself. And I get the sense that he can have that in any space, which is kind of cool. If VR, here's one of my selfish dreams about VR, is that I could use a VR setting and then reteach my right shoulder and arm how to use itself.
Yeah.
So that I can repair and change muscle structure, like that we can have therapeutic experiences that allow us to have this sense of, hey, I'm a superhero now, and now I believe myself to be different. And I guess, drugs are a path for some people for that right now, of like expanding your sense of what's possible in the world and what you can experience. But I get excited about the potential for VR to help people through these false programmings that we created before we had language and before we knew any better. Yeah. But to break open the traps that we have ourselves in that are no more real.
Yeah. I guess to me, the thing that pops into my head immediately is that you're still going to need the skills and tools of understanding how the mind works and how psychology works. Like, if you're going to make VR that actually has that effect, you're going to need to also be a hypnotist. You're going to need to understand how these associations are created in the mind so that you can create an experience. And maybe those things would work better than, for some people, than just sitting down with a hypnotist or someone who can actually guide you through those transformational experiences. I don't know. I wonder, because I wonder if there is a part of the person's brain that will say, yeah, but it's not real. Like, imagine you had an AI that was talking to you in your head and it was saying, you're like, I'm a bad person. I'm ugly. No one loves me. I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy of love. And it said, yes, you are. You're a beautiful person. Everybody loves you. You are good enough and you are worthy of love. And you're like, yeah, but you're just a fucking computer. What do you know? Yeah.
Well, and also, technically, that would be a terrible strategy.
Sure. I know. I'm
to begin to believe those.
Yeah.
Because affirmations don't work if you don't believe them. So
yeah. I guess if the VR was going to work, you'd need to put them into a trance anyway, which, to tie it back to Enlightened Couch Potato, is something we talk about a lot in watching movies, is you have to get yourself into the mind and body space where you are open and receptive. And in that case, well, movies are a kind of VR, and VR is an even more immersive version of a movie or a story, and you can live out those experiences.
Yeah. Do you remember the video game in the movie?
No. It's been a while. I only saw it once, and it's been a while.
He was playing this video game where his job is to like crawl through these caves and like escape or something. He crawls down this one cave, and there's just this like pudgy, short, cartoonish character. It's like, fuck you, you fucking fuckface. And he's like, do you know how to get out? Go fuck yourself, fucking face. You're fucked. And
now I want to watch that again.
Just like, I think it's a puzzle. So he's like, fuck you. So good. I want that video game to exist. I don't play video games, but if there's a video game where you're just trying to crawl out of things and characters just come and fuck with you and be a little
that is kind of actually there is a kind of VR game that's sort of like that.
Is it?
One of the co-creators of Rick and Morty made a VR game that is like the game hates you. Like the game is fucking with you the whole way through, and it's hilarious.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it's called.
Speaking of VR, did I ever tell you about my video game idea?
No.
This is before the DSM-5. So I thought that a really cool video game, like and multiplayer game would be the DSM-4. Just like that, where you wake up, like you just.
Would it just diagnoses you with various mental illnesses?
Yeah, you're a character who has some sort of, collection of different illnesses, like mental illnesses, and your entire job is to just get through the day. And then sometime, like, make breakfast, or like go, like, take a package to the post office. Oh my God. Go to the grocery store. It's awful. And you've got like, maybe you're agoraphobic, or maybe you're like schizophrenic, or whatever the thing is. Sometimes you have to like work in teams to pull things off, and everybody got their different. I just thought I'm not saying to make fun of these. I just think it would be amazing to give people the experience of what daily challenges would be for somebody who's got like immune challenges or Lyme disease. And they're doing like different stuff that people suffer through that no one gets.
I don't remember what it's called, but there is a game. Like games in the last 10 years or so, I would say, have definitely reached the point of high art, where there are not all of them, because obviously there's popcorn movies and there's high art movies. But there are games where people are like trying to do something profound and interesting. And there's one that I recall. I don't even know if it's a good game, but I know that the premise of it was this is what it's like to be suicidally depressed and schizophrenic too, I believe. And it was a very personal game made by one guy who this is his experience. And he was like trying to make a game saying this is what it's like. And it was heavy. And hard.
Well, I thought of that game. I've had
I think it's a great idea. I like make breakfast. And like, I mean, I think it would almost be better in the way you're describing it, if it did have a little bit of a sense of humor, where it's like negative thoughts were like little monsters that are coming in and being like, you're a wordless piece of shit, and you're like, no, I have to like hit them with the frying pan, or I don't know. That could be fun.
Chronic illness.
Yeah.
And then they show like your energy.
Yeah.
Like on the meter's like this, like huge, but your energy's here. You're like, okay.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to eat. Oh shit, I've stood here too long thinking about
I'm gonna go take a nap.
Like I've had mornings in the past where just like I've lost my shit because I decided I was thirsty, and I'm like, I know, thirsty, get water. So I grab a cup from the like cupboard and then pour water in it. But then just for this particular day, it's like a glass instead of like a plastic cup. And now the water has made it so heavy, like too heavy for the day I'm having. This is real. This happened to me in my kitchen.
I believe it.
8 or 9 years ago, so exhausted. And I was trying to lift the cup, but it hurt and it was too heavy to hydrate myself. And I like set the glass down and then just started sobbing.
Oh, that's a rough period of time in your life.
Yeah. You know, this is before the phrase "I can't even" was popular. Mm-mm. Yeah.
Well, you want to hear briefly about what I watched?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, so I saw two big things. The first one, very briefly, we need to have an extended session on this one, but It was my wife and I 10-year anniversary. 6-year wedding anniversary, 10 years from the day that I asked her on a date. And on our wedding day, we came home after everything and watched my favorite movie, which is The Never-Ending Story. And I don't remember if she had watched it since then, but for a variety of reasons, our relationship has been through some troubled times. And we even had fights on our wedding day. And the time that we spent watching the movie was not good. And she had a bad taste in her mouth about it. And so she decided that for our 6-year wedding anniversary, she wanted to watch it again. And we had a wonderful experience. It was just as profound for me as it ever has been, if not more. There was actually a bunch of stuff I noticed that I've never noticed before, especially looking at it through this lens. Yeah, I freaking love that movie more than anything ever. I love that movie so much. And I don't want to talk about that one. I finally watched Cobra Kai.
Fuck, I thought we were supposed to watch that together.
Oh, I thought you already saw it.
No.
Okay, well, then I'm not going to talk about it. You got to go watch it. I will tell you, it's fucking great.
Okay. I'm going to watch it now. I'm so excited. I have this new shirt.
I really like it. I really, really like it. We haven't started the second season yet, but I watched the whole thing, and it was so much better than I thought it was going to be. Like, I thought it was going to be good, but I was really impressed. I have a very slight complaint that I wish the actual martial arts themselves were a little more impressive, because I think even the 80s movie was like a little better in the fight scenes.
Oh, shit.
But yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. It's like, I wish they could have upped that. If they had upped that and the martial arts were like freaking badass, like this show would be perfect. But here's what I'll say. Who cares? That's not why you're watching it. The reason why you're watching it is the story and the characters and the depth. Like, they really flesh out every character into 3-dimensional people, and it's so fun. Like, at one point through it, I'm not spoiling anything. At one point through it, I turned to Faye and I said, "This is what I wish Star Wars would have been. This is so much better than the new Star Wars."
Yeah,
the kind of respectful nostalgia where they do all the shit. They take you to all the locations from the show, from the movie, and you're like, oh, look, it's that. Oh, look, and oh my God, and they're over. And like, it does all those buttons, but they do it right. And they do it where they're like advancing the story and like I say, fleshing it out. Like, that was a 2-dimensional movie. The movie is like very like not, and a lot of people have pointed out the kind of like weirdness in the plot. And this show is like, all right, we're going to take every single thing you've pointed out and we're going to make an entire show about it.
Nice.
And oh, God damn, please watch it. It's so much fun. We will talk about it next week.
I was waiting for you. I thought
I'm
we were going to screen that together.
I totally had it in my head that you'd already seen it and you were waiting on me. No. What's the thing I'm thinking of then that you're waiting on me to watch? I know we talked about Xena. That's not it. There was something else. There was one that you've seen and you were like, well, when you get around, you should watch this. When you get around to it, we'll talk about it.
Was it Lost
And I swear
Girl?
I thought it was Cobra Kai. What?
Was it Lost Girl?
I think that was it.
The story about the succubus?
I'm really excited to watch that too.
Yeah.
And
on the 26th, Winona Earp is back. I don't know if you've seen it. It's like
I remember you telling me you liked it though.
Good, awful good. I kind of love how some of the like lower budget supernatural shows are just leaning into the fact that they're a little bit low budget and supernatural and sort of like hokey, but they're going with it. I just those instances of like, okay, we have 3 sets for this show, so we're gonna do this epic quest, but since it's a demon, the demon's superpower or demonic power is to like jump into your mind, and so you have this battle in the same barn that is part of our 3 sets.
Yep.
Or you get like a toxic shock, and then so
that could be done well, and then it can be done like the fucking Picard show.
Oh no.
Ugh. I don't want to talk about it more. I hated it. They did the same thing, and it was so annoying and ridiculous. And like, that movie is not a low budget show. Why is it that when he goes into space, he recreates a holographic representation of the vineyard he just left? Like, oh, it's so stupid.
Oh, I'm so sorry. It's almost like if a person didn't have shoulders.
I hate that show. Yeah, really. I hate that show so much. It made me have less respect for Patrick Stewart. And that is a fucking travesty. I love that man. And I'm like, Patrick, how could you do this?
Right. Oh, damn. Well, yeah, I guess the brilliant and wonderful thing about actors, the tragic thing about actors is that they have this immense capacity to sympathize with their character, no matter the situation. It's a level of openness to doing work that might not be that amazing.
Yeah, the other thing I've heard a lot of actors say, and I understand this having been an actor, never in movies or anything, but you don't know. Like, you have no idea when you're starting something. Like, it can be the best pedigree of director, writer, all this stuff, and especially high concept science fiction stuff. Like, most of the special effects you don't even see while you're there. So like, you're like, okay, so today we need to get a shot of you going like this, and you're like, what's this for? I don't know, just do it. Like, whoa, why did I get out of focus?
That was pretty impressive.
And there we go. All right. Yeah, like I've heard a lot of people, actors, be like, you don't know. Like, a lot of times the good ones are ones where they're like, I thought this was gonna be crap. And then it ends up like, oh no, that was actually a great movie. Like, they pulled that off. Yeah. Because a lot of the movie is made in editing and made with the sound and made with, like, you just don't know. So I get it. I just
oh, I'm so sorry. Maybe someday Patrick Stewart will find you and you two could like cuddle and he'll make it up to you.
Yeah, I'd like that. Well, on that note, it is 55 minutes in. You want to call it?
Yeah.
Because I really want to talk about Cobra Kai. I'm sorry I didn't watch it with you. Please forgive me. I totally thought that we were that you'd already seen it, but
it's all right. It's one of my new shirts. Strike First, Strike Hard, No Mercy is one of my new favorite shirts.
Awesome.
Yeah, this is today's shirt. This is
Lost.
Yep. Anyway,
I loved first season of Lost. Was one of the most exciting seasons of television. Like, I was like, what is happening? And I guess that's why it's so disappointing, because it felt like, I don't know. I've never seen the end because I got so disillusioned at one point, but a lot of people have said it did not stick the landing.
It just depends. It depends on what it is you're in it for.
I don't know. I could give it another go. Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's so much good TV. Like, I don't know if I need to do that.
Fair.
Mad Men is one that I'm like, I missed that, and I think I need to go back and watch it, because that's one that I think I would really enjoy.
Yeah, I broke up with that violently and loudly in my living room.
Getting a phone call and I'm declining it. What did you say?
I broke up with Mad Men in my living room. It was like,
yeah, you didn't like it?
Before. I recall,
did you make it to season 4? Is that what you said?
I got it to season 4, and then I recall leaping out of my seat and just going like, I don't like any of you motherfuckers. I hate every single one of you. What the fuck am I doing? And I threw the remote and I like had to leave the room to calm the fuck down. Yeah, I broke up with a couple shows around the same week. I broke up with Grey's Anatomy that same week, broke up with Mad Men that same week. And I think I yelled at Glee too. Maybe it was me. But I also didn't like anyone in Mad Men, and it was painful to watch every week. So that was the thing. I was watching it because I was getting an advertising degree, and it felt like I had to.
Glee is an odd one because it was so popular, but like, doesn't it feel like something weird must have been going on behind the scenes because so much tragedy and fucked up shit has happened with that cast? Like, I don't know if you followed much of it, but like, there's some weird ass stuff, and it's like, you know, shit rolls downhill. Like it trickles down from the top, and I don't know what was up with that show.
Well, there's several things that are up with that show. One of the things that's up with that show is it was monumental in its filming process, but unfortunately, that just meant that all of the actors, like, they single camera shot all of it, so they had to keep redoing all the scenes over and over and over and over and over again. So they had long as fuck days, and they were really, really freaking successful. And they had these bigger and bigger production numbers, and then some sort of licensing shenanigans happened, so that songs that don't make. I have a friend that we can invite on the show, and we can have it like, let's what the fuck with Glee, and she will passionately go through some of the stuff, but like exhausting days, high levels of success. We have found that people who get skyrocket success and don't have a lot of sleep tend to have some challenges and issues. Young people with stardom tends not to go very well.
But it doesn't always happen, is my point. Is like, that's why I'm saying, like, I feel like there was something off with the leadership, because it's just an inordinate amount of like tragedy and fucked up stuff. I keep hearing more stories about it.
Here's my premise. I'm still going with young people superstardom. In that show, you have a lot more young people in it. Normally, the story is like, you've got some great show, there's one young person. Like,
but what about Stranger Things? It's like, those are young kids, superstardom, and they seem to be doing fine.
They're not teenagers and adults yet.
I mean, they are now.
Are they?
Yeah.
Okay.
They're all teenagers.
We'll just have to check in on it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, like, let's just keep watching. But they all seem to be doing fine, is my point. And like, I don't know. It's just Barrymore,
all the kids from Ricky Schroeder. Like, there's a whole list of people in their teens that just go a little nuts.
And then there's a few that seem to do all right. Like Elijah Wood, for some reason, seems to have dodged most of those bullets. Daniel Radcliffe apparently had some problems with alcohol for a while, but he has done all right in like turning things around. And speaking of Daniel Radcliffe, do you ever see the movie Horns?
No.
Really fun, interesting, weird, tragic, but awesome, funny. In terms of that Ozark thing about like let's just fucking kill him. Like, that movie really leans into some fun, like you should check it out.
Okay.
Horns.
Cool. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. It's
I'm gonna do some research. And bring back some stories about like superstardom young people. Find out about these Glee people. Maybe I'll invite my friend Kat if you're into it.
Sure. I mean, I was not a huge Glee fan. I watched like part of one season and was like, this is fun. I like the music. And then it started getting weird. Then at one point, like the like music teacher have like a burgeoning relationship. No, he was like singing a really intense, like sexy love song with like a 15-year-old. And it was just like, what the fuck is this?
I actually started with a lot of inappropriate stuff. I actually found myself feeling offended, and that was a really weird. And was like, have I reached the age where I now think things are inappropriate? I didn't know that was going to be possible for me. It was very jarring in making me feel really prude.
I hear you. Yeah, I don't know. I'm more like not personally offended. I'm just like, what are you doing? This is not smart. All right, cool. I think we're good.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. Hey everyone, thanks for sticking around. We've got a few people who popped in. We've got 4 sets of eyeballs. Thanks for joining us. Go and TV deeply. Feel free to leave your comments down in the doobly-doo and let us know what some of your favorite movies are and what you've been watching lately.
Absolutely. All right. Take care.
Catch you next week, everybody. Bye-bye.